You just hit the goal, the promotion, the diploma, the finish line you circled on a calendar for months, and 48 hours later, you're lying on your couch feeling like something died. Not tired, not lazy, empty, like the wind took something from you instead of giving you something. Here's the part nobody warns you about. That crash isn't random. It isn't a personal failure. It's not you being ungrateful or broken. It's a biological mechanism, and it has been quietly running in the background of every human brain for thousands of years. It's the same mechanism that made ancient hunters feel strangely hollow the morning after a successful hunt. It's the same one that hits Olympic athletes days after the medal ceremony so consistently that sports psychologists have a name for it. And it's happening to you right now after wins that matter way less than an Olympic final because your brain doesn't actually care how big the achievement is. It only cares about the gap. So today we're going to break down exactly why your brain punishes you after a win. Three parts. First, the chemical trapdoor that opens the second you succeed. Second, why your nervous system treats finished like a threat instead of a relief. And third, the one shift that stops this cycle from running your life because once you see the mechanism, you can work with it instead of against it. Let's start with the chemical trapdoor. Number one, dopamine was never about the reward, it was about the chase. Most people think dopamine is the feel good chemical that floods your brain when something good happens. That's not quite right, and the mistake matters. Dopamine is a prediction and pursuit chemical. It rises while you're closing in on a goal. It spikes hardest right before the outcome, not after it. Neuroscientists studying reward circuits found that dopamine activity peaks during anticipation, then drops sharply the moment the reward is delivered. Your brain isn't built to reward you for arriving, it's built to reward you for chasing. Think about the last big goal you hit. The weeks before it, you were probably running on something. Momentum, focus. A low hum of purpose that got you out of bed early and kept you working late. That feeling was dopamine, and it was tied to the pursuit, not the prize. The second the outcome landed, that chemical fuel got cut off. Not gradually, immediately. Your brain got what it was chasing, so it stopped producing the very thing that made you feel driven and alive. That's the trapdoor. The chase was the high, the finish line pulls the floor out from under it. Number two, your baseline resets and it resets fast. This one has a name, hedonic adaptation. It's the process by which your brain treats any new normal as, well, normal. Give someone a raise, and within a few months, their happiness returns to roughly where it started. Give someone their dream house, and within a year, the walls just look like walls. This isn't pessimism. It's a survival feature. If your brain let you sit in permanent satisfaction every time you succeeded, you'd stop striving, you'd stop adapting, you'd stop noticing threats. So your baseline resets on purpose to keep you scanning for the next problem to solve. Here's the part that stings. The bigger the win, the faster and harder that reset can hit. A small daily accomplishment barely registers a dip because there wasn't much anticipation built up around it. But a goal you worked toward for a year, a goal you attached your identity to, creates a massive gap between the anticipation state and the after state. Your brain doesn't process that gap as I did something great. It processes it as the thing that gave me direction is gone, and an unmoored brain does not feel peaceful. It feels distress. Number three, cortisol was holding you together and now it's gone too. Dopamine gets all the attention, but there's a second chemical doing heavy lifting during any high stakes pursuit, and that's cortisol. Cortisol is usually framed as the villain, the stress hormone, the thing you're supposed to lower. But in short, structured bursts, cortisol sharpens focus. It's what lets you pull an all nighter before a deadline, perform under pressure in an interview, or push through the final stretch of a race. Your body ramps it up specifically because the stakes are high and the outcome matters. The moment the outcome is decided, your body reads the danger as over. Cortisol drops, and a sudden drop in a hormone your system was relying on for alertness and drive doesn't feel like calm. It feels like a crash. This is the same physiological pattern researchers see in the days after major surgery, after a wedding, after finals week. The thread is gone, the hormone drops, and the person left standing is exhausted in a way that doesn't match how good things technically are. So by the time you hit the win, three things have collapsed at once. Dopamine cuts off, your baseline resets against you, cortisol drops out from under you. That's not a mood swing. That's three separate biological systems shutting down within the same 72 hours. No wonder it feels like grief. There's a term for this in goal pursuit psychology, the arrival fallacy. It's the deeply held belief that reaching a goal will produce a lasting emotional payoff, when in reality, the emotional payoff was mostly happening on the way there. People chase the arrival their entire lives and then arrive and feel almost nothing because the thing that was generating the feeling wasn't the destination, it was the movement toward it. If you've ever felt guilty for not being happier after a win, this is why. You weren't ungrateful. You were grieving the loss of a structure your brain had built its entire operating rhythm around. Now, here's where this gets useful because understanding the mechanism is only half the job. The other half is knowing what to do with it. The fix isn't facture more excitement or forced gratitude or any of the surface level advice you've probably already tried. The fix is to give your nervous system what it's actually asking for, which is not celebration, it's continuity. Athletes who recover well from post competition crashes don't do it by hyping themselves up. They do it by having the next target already loosely defined before the current one ends. Not a rigid 5 year plan, just the next thing. A direction the nervous system can lean into the moment the current pursuit closes. This is why so many high performers seem to move from goal to goal without much of a gap. It's not because they're incapable of stopping, it's because stopping without a next direction is exactly what triggers the crash we've been talking about. So if you're in the middle of that crash right now, here's the roadmap. First, name it correctly. This isn't failure, it isn't ingratitude, it's a predictable neurochemical sequence. Naming it accurately takes away a huge amount of the shame that usually piles on top of the crash and makes it worse. Second, expect the dip. If you know the 72 hours after a big win are going to feel flat, you stop panicking when they do, and panic is usually what turns a normal chemical dip into a spiral. Third, give your brain a next small point of direction, even a tiny one, before the current goal fully closes. Not to skip the rest, not to avoid feeling the crash, but to give your nervous system somewhere to place its attention so it isn't left in free fall. That's it. That's the whole mechanism, and that's the whole fix. Your brain isn't punishing you for winning, it's just really, really good at chasing and not built for arriving. Once you know that, the crash stops feeling like a mystery and it starts feeling like something you can actually plan for. If this explained a feeling you've had after your own wins, you're not the only one. And it's worth remembering next time you hit a goal and it doesn't feel the way you thought it would. And if you want to understand the flip side of this, why some people chase goal after goal and never actually feel satisfied even when they win constantly, that's a pattern worth looking at next.